our classroom. We are on our week 4 and 5 of quarter 4. First, let us start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Lord Jesus, I pray today that you multiply your grace on me, subtract and take away all of my sins by your mercy you have shed on me. Add to my awareness a better understanding of your will for me in my life. I will divide my blessings and grace with those that are not as fortunate as I am. In your perfect and most holy name, I come to you, Jesus, and ask these things. Amen. Once again, I'm your grade 7 mathematics teacher, Maria Eliza Nunez. Our objective for this week is to use appropriate graphs to represent organized data. We have bar graph or histogram, line graph or ogive, and pie chart or circle graph. Okay, we have here an article saying that the 7 lakes of San Pablo City are being developed to become tourist destinations. The depths and the surface areas are as follows. Sampaloc, 99.21 hectares, 27 meters. Calibato, 27.18 hectares, 135 meters. Bunot, 38.16 hectares, 23 meters. Mohicap, 20.49 hectares, 27 meters. Palakpakin, 54.39 hectares, 7.5 meters. Pandin, 23.54 hectares, 6.3 meters. And Yambo, 36 hectares and 40 meters. Based on that article, we're trying to answer 2 questions. Okay, which lake is the deepest? So as we take a look on the article, it says that the deepest lake is the Sampaloc. The shallowest or not deepest is the Mohicap. And which lake is the widest? We have Calibato, and for the narrowest, we have Pandin. As you can see, our data is not yet that organized, so you may find difficulty in answering these questions. So we're going to have it in a more organized data later. So another one, for instance, we have here a poster. Under what category, we're going to answer this, under what category a typhoon should be if the following speeds are given? So the source is from Pag-asa. The typhoon category will be like this. If it is tropical depression, it should be up to 61 km per hour. If it is a tropical storm, that is 62 to 118 kilometers per hour. For the typhoon, we have 118 to 220 kilometers per hour, and for super typhoon, that is more than 220 kilometers per hour. We have here 3, namely typhoon and or tropical storm signal. So we have Typhoon Domeng having 102 km per hour. And based on the category, since it is 102 km per hour, it is a tropical storm. And another one, we have Typhoon Rosing have 290.4 km per hour, and that is a super typhoon. If we have Typhoon Milenio, that has 220.1 kilometer per hour, that is just a typhoon. So let us start now with the lessons. Again, those are the not yet organized data, and this time we're going to have different graphic presentation to discuss. Let us start with the bar graph or histogram. The bar graph, so we're going to consider the situation below. The TLE teachers conducted a survey among incoming grade 9 students. They asked a sample of 200 students with the following survey question. And then, after they do the survey question, they constructed a frequency distribution table, which is our lesson last week. So that is a TLE specialization consisting of cookery, dressmaking, electronics, nail care. Then we have the tally, then the frequency. The given frequency distribution can now be presented using graph. And a graph is a pictorial representation of statistical data. This is used to represent a set of data to make it easier to understand and easily interpret statistical information. So for now, we're going to focus on the first two. There are two diagrams with which you may present your frequency distribution. You can use a bar graph or a pie chart. So what is a bar graph? A bar graph is a representation that uses bars or rectangles that show the frequency of each category. Comparison among frequencies can be easily done by looking at the respective heights of the bars. The gaps between bars are spaced equally. So here is the bar graph that is made. You have here the cookery, dressmaking, electronics, nail care. Based on the bar graph, we're going to answer 5 questions on the next slide of this presentation. Okay, first is how many students chose cookery? So by looking at the bar graph, we can answer that. This is the bar for the cookery, and that is 42 students. Next, how many students chose nail care? Go back again to your bar graph. Look at the bar of the nail care. That is 54. Third question, which TLE 9 subject shows you the tallest bar on the graph? Tallest bar on the graph is dressmaking. For the fourth question, the shortest bar is displayed by what TLE 9 subject? So shortest bar is our electronics. And lastly, which bars have the least difference between their heights? So difference, that means you're going to subtract, which is the least difference. So our answer will be cookery and electronics. So by the bar graph, we can easily answer some questions that is being asked for the data. How about a histogram? A histogram is also a bar graph that displays the frequency of each class interval. The properties are there are no gaps between bars. Bars are adjacent at the class boundaries of the interval. The class interval involves fractional measurements such as weights and heights. So bar graph and histogram have differences because in bar graph you have spaces, but in histogram there is no gaps or space between the bars. So we're going to construct the histogram of the given set. So there is a class advisor already finalized the grades of his grade 7 students. To present his data, he constructed the frequency table. So we're always going to start with our frequency table. So here it is, the class interval and the frequency. So we have 90 to 94 is 4, 85 to 89 is 10, 80 to 84 is 12, 75 to 79 is 8, 70 to 74 is 6. So to construct the histogram, you have two steps only. Set the horizontal axis for the class intervals. Here it is for the class intervals, and the vertical axis for the frequency. Then you can shade completely the bars that correspond to their frequencies. Since we say 70 to 74 is for 6, so you're going to shade up to the 6, 75 to 79 is 8, 80 to 84 is 12, 85 to 89 is 10, and 90 to 94 is 4. So just shade those frequencies that match with the class intervals. That's how you do the histogram. And for the lesson 2, our lesson 2 is about pie chart. A pie chart is a circular diagram that shows the proportion of each category. Each proportion is usually labeled by either percentage or a fraction. The slices in a pie chart are known as sectors. So we're going to construct a pie chart. To complete a pie chart, we need to compute the following. First is the percentage of each observation. The second is the number of degrees for the sector or the size of the piece of slice for each observation. So let me show you how to compute those two. Okay, again, we're going back with our data that is till specialization with the frequency, then the how to compute for the percentage, then the number of degrees. So we have cookery, dressmaking, electronics, nail care. Then we need to total the frequency. So we have 42, 68, 36, 54. By adding them, we have a total of 200. We need to total it because we need that for the percentage, how to get the percentage. So to get the percentage, if I have 42 for the cookery, I will just divide this 42 by the total, which is 200, then multiply by 100. Then our answer will be 21%. Just how we did for the cookery, to get the percentage, you also follow that to get the percentage for the dressmaking, electronics, and nail care. How about if I'm going to compute for the number of degrees? Since you already have the percentage, again, for the cookery we have 21%, and we all know that a circle has a total of 360 degrees. So 21% of 360 degrees, or convert the 21% into decimal numbers, so you will have 0.21. times the 360 degrees. So your degrees will be 75.6 degrees. Just follow it also to get the number of degrees for the dressmaking, electronics, and nail care. Okay, with the aid of a protractor and a compass again, that's how we can do a perfect pie chart. You can construct the circle and sectors needed. And lastly, label each sector with the corresponding observation and percentage. But as you can see, on my pie chart, I didn't label it anymore because I have different color for each sector to be able to recognize, which is for the cookery, for the dressmaking, for the electronics, and for the nail care. Okay, so we're going to answer 5 questions again based on our pie chart. First question, which TLE 9 subject has the greatest proportion chosen by the students? As we take a look, that will be our dressmaking. Next, what TLE 9 subject has the least percentage? That will be our electronics. Next, what percentage of the students chose nail care? Okay, even though I didn't include it in my pie chart, I know it because of the computation table we have. So the answer will be 27%. Next, how much greater in proportion is cookery than electronics? Again, that our answer can be found also in the table. We're just going to compute the percentage of cookery and electronics, subtract them, and our answer will be 3%. For the fifth one, if the needed number of teachers will be based on the number of their students, which TLE subject should have the greatest number of teachers? Since we have the greatest proportion is on dressmaking, therefore, we need the greatest number of teachers for dressmaking also. Okay, then we move on to our last lesson, the line graph. So line graph, it is an illustration that shows the association between the independent variable. An independent variable should always be on the horizontal axis, while the dependent variable is on the vertical axis. The association can be either an increasing or decreasing trend. It is useful in presenting data that indicate changes over a period of time. So let us consider the following situations together with their data set. So situation 1 is about weather temperature. A science teacher would like to study how the temperature changes within a day. Thus, he recorded the temperature readings after every hour. So below was his record. We have 9 a.m. up to 4 p.m. So 9 a.m. 23 degrees Celsius, 10 a.m. 24 degrees Celsius, 11 a.m. 26 degrees Celsius, 12 noon 27 degrees Celsius, 1 p.m. 27 degrees Celsius, 2 p.m. 25 degrees Celsius, 3 p.m. 24 degrees Celsius, 4 p.m. 24 degrees Celsius. And we're going to make a line graph on that. Okay, because using a line graph, just like the other graph, we can easily see between what time of the day the temperature is inclining, declining, or retain. So again, let the horizontal line be the time reading, while the vertical line is the temperature reading. So here is our line graph. And we're going to answer again 5 questions based on that line graph. Okay, first is what is the lowest temperature between 9 a.m. until 4 p.m.? And that is 23 degrees Celsius. Next question, at what time or times was the highest temperature measured? Okay, that is 12 noon and 1 p.m. Next, between what times there is no change in temperature? Again, that is 12 noon to 1 p.m. Next, what is the increase in temperature between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m.? This is our 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. is 26, so that will be 3 degrees Celsius. For the last one, between what times is there a decline of temperature? Okay, that will be 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Okay, next, the situation 2 is about motion. A jeepney is moving straight ahead along Maharlika Highway. You would like to study the motion of the jeepney by knowing its displacement from the starting station at different times of your travel. So we have here the recorded displacements. Time reading 1 p.m. Of course, that will be the starting one, so that is 0 meter for the displacement. 1:02 p.m. we have 250 meters. 1:04 p.m. 400 meters. 1:06 p.m. 550 meters. 1:08 p.m. 850 meters. 1:10 p.m. 1050 meters. So based on that data, we're going to have again another line graph. And here is the line graph that is being presented now. So let us take a look, because we're going to answer again 5 questions for that line graph. Okay. What is displacement at 1:02 p.m.? So that is 250 meters. Next question. At what time was the displacement equal to 850 meters? That is our 1:08 p.m. Next question. Between what time periods is the slant of the line steepest? That is from 1:06 to 1:08 p.m. Next, between 1:02 p.m. and 1:06 p.m., what is the change in displacement? From 1:02 to 1:06, that is 300 meters. And lastly, it took how many minutes to reach the displacement of 850 meters? That is 8 minutes. Okay, so after line graph, we have the ogive. Ogive is a type of line graph. that shows cumulative frequencies. So in OGIV, that is for our cumulative frequencies. That's the difference in the line graph. The x-axis has the class boundaries of the class intervals, while the y-axis is the possible partial sums of frequencies or cumulative frequency. Okay, so again, here are the class interval, the frequency, and as you remember before on last week, we have this lower class boundary and the upper class boundary. Again, how to get that? We're going to subtract the lower class limit by 0.5, then add the upper class limit by 0.5 for you to get that. And how to get the cumulative frequency? Always remember that it will start from the bottom. Then you need to add. Okay, if I start from the bottom, that is 6. If I add 8 to 6, that will be 14. If I add 12 to 14, that is 26. If I add 26 plus 10, that is 36, and 36 plus 4, that is 40. That's how you get the cumulative frequency. Okay, let us try to see the graph. Here it is. So we have 69.5 for the 0, 74.5, 79.5, 84.5, 89.5, and 94.5. So that's how. How many students have a grade of lower than 80? Grade that lower than 80. That is the 79.5, which is 14. Next. How many students have a grade of at most 90? At most 90. That is 89.5, which will give you the 36 students. So that's how you get the answer here. Okay, we're done with the lessons. The lesson 1, 2, and 3, which is all about the graphs. So this time you're going to need a sheet of paper to do the learning task, the fill in the blank, and the quiz. So we have here the learning task 1A. So a survey was conducted among 100 students and they were asked which among the 4 core values is the most relevant. So here is the table. And you need to complete the bar graph below. So meaning to say, you need to do a bar graph for our learning task 1A given the data that is presented. Remember, a bar graph has a space in between. Learning task 1B. So this time, you're just going to take a look at the given data and answer the following question. Based on the histogram of the results of the exam, you need to answer the following. So take a look at that histogram and here are the questions. Number 1, in which score interval the most number of students fall? Number 2, in which score interval does the least number of students fall? Number 3, what score intervals have more than 30 students? Number 4, what score intervals have less than 10 students? And number 5, which score interval has a frequency closest to 20 students? So after you answer that, we have the learning task 2A. This time, you need to complete the table below to compute for the size of the sector. Then after you compute for that, you need to complete the pie chart or make a pie chart, then include labels. Learning task 2B. An interview was conducted to a group of passengers and they were asked how long it took them to wait for their service vehicle. So just like the histogram, you're just going to answer also a question for the OGIF. So here's the given OGIF. Take a look at the given OGIF and here are the questions. Number 1, how many passengers waited for at most 56 minutes? Number 2, how many passengers waited for at most 78 minutes? Number 3, how many passengers participated in the interview? Number 4, for what was the longest possible time that the passengers waited? And number 5, how many passengers waited for more than 89 minutes? Then for the learning task 3, a community pantry organizer recorded the donations for the past 7 days. So we have here the given table. You need to construct a line graph, then include labels. Okay, days of the week, then the number of donations. Based on the table, you will make a line graph. Here is. Okay, after the learning task 1A, 1B, learning task 2A, 2B, and learning task 3, we also have the fill in the blank. Number 1, blank is the appropriate diagram to show how much greater or less one measurement of one observation is from the other. Number 2, blank is the most useful diagram that will present the proportion of each observation in relation to the total data set. Number 3, blank is the graph that displays the trend or the behavior of the data set. Number 4, in a line graph, the axes are labeled wherein the independent variable is on the blank while the blank variable is on the vertical axis. Number 5, blank is a graph that displays the frequencies wherein the observations have fractional values and the bars are adjacent. And number 6, blank is a graph that displays cumulative frequencies per class interval. So after the fill in the blanks, we have a quiz. And circle the letter that corresponds to the best answer. But you just write the letter of your answer on your paper. So if I say use the figure 1, it means this one, our bar graph. And if I say use figure 2, that is for our pie chart. So take a look with that graphs. And here are the questions. For numbers 1 to 2, use figure 1. Number 1, based on the Meralco bill bar graph, in what month is the electricity consumption the highest? Number 2, in what month was the electricity consumption the lowest? Okay, just choose your answer. For numbers 3 to 4, use figure 2. Based on the pie chart, what is the most abundant gas in the atmosphere? Number 4, what is the percentage of all other gases? Number 5, Melinda would like to know if there is an increasing trend in the number of her suki or customers in her new business for the past 2 weeks. Which of the following should she use to look at how her business is going? Okay, for numbers 6 to 8, use this histogram. Mario measured the amount of rainfall for 1 month. So based on the histogram, you need to answer the numbers 6 to 8. Okay, what is the greatest recorded amount of rainfall? Number 7, how many days that the rainfall was between 10 millimeter to 15 millimeter? Number 8, how many days that the rainfall was between 35 millimeter to 40 millimeter? And for numbers 9 to 10, Perla would like to construct an ogive for her data set for her karinderya. So we have here the table that Perla made. We have number of customers, number of days, and the cumulative frequency. But on the cumulative frequency, we see here a question mark because that is part of the question in numbers 9 to 10. Let us see the question number 9 to 10. Number 9, what is the cumulative frequency for the interval 51 to 60? That's why there is a question mark on the table. And for the number 10, the last question, how many days did the karinderya had at most 40 customers? Okay, now that we're done with the learning task 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3, the fill in the blanks, and the quiz, you can now finally make your reflection. Again, your reflection could be a video blog, a narrative post, a photojournal, or to your preferred reflective mode of documentation. Just don't forget to state or write the following 3 statements. I learned that, I realized that, and I will do. Then, you can finally say, madaling-madali ang math, as simple as that. Once again, I'm your grade 7 mathematics teacher, Maria Eliza Nunez, now signing off.